on, everybody? Welcome to the UGAsports.com Non-Dawg, episode 1. You're probably asking yourself, what in the world is this? Well, don't worry. We'll tell you all about it. I'm your host, Paul Maharry, joined by my co-host, Andy Stowe and Eddie from Acworth. You've seen them on the channel a ton. They came to me, I came to them, and we decided, hey, guys, we talk a lot about Georgia football, but there's other sports that these Georgia fans love to talk about. And there's not really a great spot for all of that to come together and for everybody to get a topic on it and talk about it. So that's what we're doing here on Sunday nights now. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to try to leave Georgia out of it. So we'll have a little bit of Georgia, but if you've come here for Georgia football talk, this probably isn't the right place. If you want to talk about Braves, Falcons, the rest of the NCAA, we've got a good show. Deion Sanders, Coco Gauff, everything else. This is the place for you guys. As always, we want to know where you're watching us from. We'll put you onto the show, into the comment section. Let us know. And also, if you want to join the show, links in the description. You can come talk about all the other sports that happen here in the state of Georgia. So before we get started, though, you probably wondered, hey, who is Eddie? Who is Andy? These guys are on the show all the time. What are they about? Eddie, I'll start with you. Who are you, Eddie? You're from Acworth. We know that. What's going on, man?
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, Paul, and thank you so much for including me and Andy in this. Really looking forward to it. I hope we can prove it out that it's a great show and got a lot to talk about. But just for me personally, I was actually born in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh boy!
Ironically, yeah, only lived there a year, and my father and mother met at Loyola in New Orleans, and he moved them back here to Atlanta. So I've been here for 50 years, so I know nothing about following the Saints, etc. I don't do that, so I despise that team. But anyway, went to college at UGA, local boy, went to Marist High School, and then went to UGA, but was actually raised as a Tech fan, believe it or not.
Oh, God.
It's kind of ironic because,
wow.
Yeah, I really was. But I'll tell you a quick story. My father was a humongous Tech fan, and I'll never forget this. We watched the game together when I was, 1982. Do y'all remember when Georgia lost to Penn State in a heartbreaker,
Yeah.
right? You remember that game? I know that was before y'all's time probably.
Yeah.
My father watched that game with me and went bananas because UGA lost the game. And I was like, why is he screaming? Why is he going so crazy? Because he hated Georgia. He hated him. And that's kind of where I came from. I learned that allegiance to a team. And now I root for, obviously, Georgia and the Falcons and the Braves, et cetera. And I didn't understand it when I was a kid. It made no sense to me. I totally get it now. That, you watch those teams, you live and breathe and die with them. And when the enemy loses, you love it. So that's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, we'll get in a little bit of the enemy talk tonight. Andy, you got all those bobbleheads behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you're a Braves guy. Who are you, Andy? Tell the people who you are.
Well, so I'm Andy Stowe, and I'm from Royston, and I still live here in Royston. I grew up here, and I was born in Ty Cobb Healthcare, just right up the road.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, how many people can say they're from, the same place Ty Cobb's from?
True.
I think Eddie's wife is from the same place.
That's right.
She was born in Ty Cobb?
Born in Royston. She was born in, yep.
But yeah, so obviously if you're born in Royston, you kind of got to be a baseball fan, so you grow up a Braves fan and a Georgia fan, no Tech fan. My family hates Georgia Tech with a passion. I work at UGA. I did not go to college there, but I went to Athens Tech for a couple of years. Then I went to University of North Georgia for a couple of years, and then I got my master's at Middle Georgia State College University, or whatever it's called now. But yeah, no, I mean, you grow up here, you love Georgia football, you love Atlanta Braves baseball, you love Atlanta Falcons football, and you hate everything else, So that's, the whole loving a team, that's what you live and die. It's one of those things. Like, if I have a friend that's a Gator fan, and he's from right down the street from me, and he was one of those that was like, oh, everybody else pulls for Georgia, I'm going to pull for the team everybody hates. Yeah. So he just want to be different, but yeah, that's pretty much it. All the little kids, we're making our lineup cards when you're in school instead of listening to the teacher. That's me. I'm just sports fan, and then of course, like technology. That's how me and Paul kind of started talking more about playing Xbox. So that's sort of how this was born. We were playing a little Xbox and like, oh, it'd be cool to talk about the Braves a little bit more. So, and we did say, with this not being a Georgia, centric podcast, where maybe Tennessee fans or Auburn fans or even Clemson fans across the lake can come on and talk to us,
some dogs,
little Braves. And that's me pretty much.
Well, guys, we decided to make this basically because we looked around and we said, hey, there's not a podcast that has everybody included in it from the state of Georgia, and they're doing great right now. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're going to get this thing rolling on Sunday nights and have a good time with it. We started at the perfect time, though, guys, because you had the Falcons today.
Wait a minute. Paul, you need to go.
What? Oh, well,
tell us about yourself.
I think the people know me, but
if you don't, come on. All
right, if you don't know me, well, then I graduated from Georgia, ran into riding a bull seat at a Walmart in East Athens when I was working at AT&T as a student, just about to finish up. And I said, hey, are you riding a bull seat? And he was like, whoa, nobody really knows me. Like nobody approaches me at Walmart and says that. And I was like, hey, man, can I work for you? And he was like, well, maybe. And so about 3 months later, he took over UGA Sports, gave me a call, and I am the forever intern. I own my own business, a construction company here based out of Flowery Branch. But, we do this and we have fun with it. I've been doing it 9 years now and, enjoy it. I went to school for broadcast journalism and was able to continue doing that through this. So it's been a good time. We decided, Andy and I did, I was like, let's start a podcast. I asked Roddy about it. He said it was a good idea. We hit up Eddie and we got the crew here. So again, guys, enough about us though. Let's get into this. Let's get into these topics here. The Falcons. So just to give you guys an idea, we're going to try our best, guys, to stay away from dogs talk. And we do have a couple pieces that we've put together. Andy's got a cool segment that's going to kind of track called Dog Tracks, I think is what we came up with, tracking the dogs in the NFL. But we want to really focus in on all the other Georgia sports. And that starts with the Falcons today, 24-10 over the Carolina Panthers. And you go down the stat sheet, Caden Ellis, guy that they picked up from the Saints, Jesse Bates, the second leading tackler, 2 interceptions. This defense looks completely different. And I think, and I don't want to overreact too much, but I think you might be able to get by going 15 of 18, 115 yards from Desmond Ridder and win games. You did today. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the defense looks good. Like Jesse Bates, I play fantasy football. And so, you kind of learn these guys. And I knew who Jesse Bates was. But watching him play today, he's so much better than I thought he was. I mean, he is a player. Then he got hurt. He come back. But I mean, he had 10 tackles and, 5 solos. I mean, he is a player. So I think their defense is good. I think they got really good pieces around the offensive line, the wide receivers, and the running backs. I don't know about the quarterback though. 12 for 18. I mean, that's 15
of 18,
115 yards.
I think at the half or after the first quarter, he was like 7 of 8 for 1 yard and a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they squeaked it out. Now they were going against Eddie. They were going against a freshman, if you will, a rookie, Bryce Young at quarterback. He made the same mistake twice. The same exact play, Jesse Bates intercepted twice. So I don't know if it's going to be that easy moving forward for this team. But they were able to squeak out a win. This is the first time, Eddie, since 2018. The Falcons are over 500. Yes, you heard me correct. Over 500. First time. And, of course, if you're 1-0, you're over 500.
Well, I've watched this team forever. And the past few years, what we've watched is that the Falcons get up on a lead like they did today, and the defense gives it away. And the game's over. They lose the game. The defense stepped up. This is a completely revamped defense. They are making plays. You said Jesse Bates, Andy. He made all 3 of those turnovers. He got 2 picks. Andy caused that fumble, okay? So that's a total change right there on defense. You got guys pressuring the quarterback. Lorenzo Carter makes a huge sack there at the end, basically to seal the game. And, I just love the way the defense is playing attack football. It's fantastic. It's good to see. On the offensive side, I mean, I didn't understand the Bijan Robinson pick because you got Tyler Algier, fantastic rookie last year, but my goodness, watch that boy play football. He was awesome today. He looked like a joystick out there.
They had
That first
131
touchdown,
yards between the two halfbacks.
Holy cow. He just makes people look silly, and he's a rookie. I mean, that was so good to see. Now, the quarterback play, I didn't get it. Dez, to me, the throws he made, guys were having to, reach back or
right.
do other funny things. The great throw to, the long play to Kyle Pitts was basically thrown up for grabs. And the other thing I didn't like about what Des Ridder was doing was he looked panicked, and when he threw the ball, he was getting guys killed. If you watch it, he'd throw it and immediately, bam.
Yeah, kind of no awareness there.
That happened like 3 or 4 times. He got
Algier killed in one shot.
Absolutely. And he got Bijan killed too. Yeah. You can't do that. So he looked a little skittish in the pocket. I don't know, and maybe he's not the answer, but if you got a running game like that and you got a defense like that, you can weather the storm for a little while.
Hey, P. Rich, we appreciate you watching. He says defensive line wasn't that good in his opinion. Bryce didn't get hit until the fourth quarter. I think the defensive line is going to get better. I do, P. Rich. Big thing for me, though, guys, we saw Jahmyr Gibbs in that Thursday night game. He was the other first-round running back taken, and I don't think he was used near as much as Bijan was. So Bijan, 10 rushes for 56 yards, also 6 receptions, 27 yards, and a touchdown. That's how I figured the Lions would use Gibbs. They didn't, though. Also, good to see. I didn't think this was going to happen, guys. Kyle Pitts caught 2 passes today, 44 yards. One thing that was a little bit shocking, though, Drake London, 0 for 0, non-existent.
He dropped one.
He dropped it all. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought for sure that he was going to kind of be a focal point. Desmond Ridder targeted him incredibly hard when he came in those last 4 games of the year last year. I thought he was going to be that guy. Hayden Stowe says, "Hey, Eddie, where'd you get that picture behind you?"
So it's not a picture. It's actually a wooden carve out. Logan Booker from 960 The Ref made me that.
So Hayden is my nephew. He's 12 years old.
Oh, that is you in the picture with him. Okay.
Yes,
I was going to say that kind of looks like you, Andy.
Yeah, he told me, he was like, send me the link so I can watch. So
yeah, nice.
That's awesome.
He was, when last night we were in Clemson, Anderson over in Clemson, and every time we'd see somebody with a Georgia shirt on, "Go Dogs!" He yells at them every time. And there was some little boy wearing his Clemson shirt, and he was like, "You're supposed to pull for Georgia." So it's we're raising him right. So
there you go. So anything else kind of stick out to you? This game seemed like, I don't know, the Falcons turned it on the fourth quarter. I don't know if this game, though, showed me exactly who the Falcons are going to be moving forward. Does that make sense? Like I figured they would win this game. I figured Bryce Young would kind of get himself in trouble. I didn't know that he'd throw 2 picks like that, but I figured he would get himself in trouble. It's a rookie quarterback. Like Carolina's not that great. Did we learn anything from today's Falcons game for these Falcons?
I think we learned the defense is good. I think we know that. I think you got 2 good halfbacks. Between the 2 halfbacks, what was it? 29 touches total. Is that right? 25 or you have 25 and you had 9. So you got 34 touches between the 2 halfbacks. And if you're going 180 yards, with 2 players, that's pretty good. So I think that's a step in the right direction.
It's not terrible. Here's my problem, though, Eddie. 13 first downs, 2 of 10 on third down, and only 221 yards. It was almost like a skeleton offense, if you will. They were able to get it done. Don't get me wrong. They won the game. 221 yards. I don't know if that's going to win you many games, though.
It's not. And every time it seemed like the Falcons made a good play, there was flag on the field. Every single time. They got to clean those up. And Arthur Smith will clean those things up. But I'm going to go back to it. I'm just, at this point, I was a big Desmond Ridder fan. I thought he was the guy.
Oh, you were? So you were on the Ridder train?
Yeah. I trusted the coaches, right? They said he's the guy. We're going with him. And today I was like, I don't know that he's the guy. That's the thing that concerns me, and that goes back to exactly what you're talking about on the third and longs, the third and whatever. We couldn't pick it up.
2 of 10.
That's on him. He would drop back and be like, boom, boom, and then he'd run, or he'd hit some crazy little underneath pass for nothing, and that's not good. That's not what you want to see out of your quarterback. He looked timid to me.
But don't you think last year, instead of playing Marcus Mariota, who clearly the guy is
that's not even a question.
And that's because you could be so much farther ahead right now.
Oh, absolutely.
They would have played. I mean,
you could be further ahead, or you could have gotten a quarterback this year.
Yes.
And you would have known Ritter was not the guy.
Right.
So we've got another year of kind of sitting here and waiting. You've got the pieces, man. You've got a first-round tight end, a first-round wide receiver, now a first-round running back. You've got a decent enough O-line. Yeah. They've put some money into the defense. I don't want to say it all falls on Ritter, but a lot of it does. They've kind of built this team to where
what were the yards per carry? I mean, you can look it up, Andy. The average yards per carry. I mean, it seemed like every time we handed the ball off, it was 8 or 9 yards.
Yeah, they averaged
in Carolina.
Yeah, they averaged 5.1 a carry between.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent. But the problem is you gotta start with the quarterback there. Anything else around the league in the NFL before we go on to the Braves? Because I know we want to get to the Braves.
Well, we do. Do we want to?
Yeah, Mountain Man 73 kind of goes here. He goes kind of Georgia related. What did y'all think of the Philly Dogs? So Andy's got his dog tracks over there. Any of those Philly Dogs stand out?
Okay, so Nakobe Dean actually had 7 tackles and he had 4 solo tackles.
That's good. So, that's good. I'm guessing I'm assuming he started up there. He didn't start last year. I think they made him the starter.
He was injured, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But yes, and Nakobe had a good day, and I had to single out Lorenzo Carter because he's playing for the Falcons, so he did have 2 solo tackles and he had 1 for a loss. He had a sack, and that sack was Bryce Young, who Alabama player, Georgia Bulldogs second Alabama player.
Right.
And he recovered a fumble. And then Quay Walker had 4 tackles, 1 solo. He had an interception.
That interception for the return was crazy. I don't know if you saw that, Eddie. They were about to tackle him, and he just threw a guy off of him, turn around, and still went for about 30 yards there. That was and Glenn Schumann even tweeted it out, said year 2 is going to be a movie for Quay Walker. So we'll see.
But maybe if we do like 3 players each week or something, that can single out. But those was 3 guys I looked at pretty good. So I thought they played
obviously Chubb looked good, but we kind of expect that.
You can single him out every week.
Yeah.
The one that stood out to me, and I pay attention to the New Orleans Saints because I absolutely despise them as much as I hate the Florida Gators. I hate the Saints probably even just a tad more. Right. So I watched the end of that game, and I don't know if y'all saw it, but the Titans had a chance there. They were driving the field down by, I can't remember what the score was, but they elected to kick a field goal to put them behind by 1 point. And they never got the football back. That was a horrible mistake. He should have just gone for it.
Titans look absolutely terrible. Right?
I know.
I've got a buddy who's a Titans fan. I text him. I said, "Hey, it's Malik time. You can't ride with Tannehill. You can't do it." 3 interceptions. He looked bad. He looked really bad. I'm trying to think who else really stood out. That Dolphins-Chargers game was a good one. That was a fun back and forth, just points being thrown everywhere. But overall. Falcons, should we give them I'm trying to think because I don't like an overall grade or a win automatically gets you up to a C, right? I think so. You're passing if you get a win. I'll go B-. I think it was a solid B- game. There's some things they can work on, but at the same time, I'll take a 24-10 win against Carolina.
Yeah, B- is a good grade because I like the direction. That's the thing. They're playing tough. They're playing hard on defense. They're making stops. That's the biggest thing we did not see. And I love the running game. And you know what? I'll give this also credit. I've been to that stadium numerous times, and maybe Carolina's not a good example, but you go see a Dallas game or a Green Bay game, it's 50% the other team. Okay?
We went last year for the Browns, and there were more Cleveland fans in there.
It just drives me crazy. Yeah. Today, I could hear the crowd coming through on my speakers, and it sounded really, really
sure it
good.
Wasn't the speakers that were coming through on your speakers?
No, I could hear it. When we made a sack or we made a big play, it was Falcons, and there were flags flying it really gave me a good feeling, that it wasn't half, and there were Carolina Panther fans there, of course, but it sounded really good. I just like that.
Yeah.
You start losing, that goes away. You
goes away. Atlanta is, I will say, Atlanta is probably one of the most fair weather fans when it comes to the Falcons. The Braves, they'll stick by. The Hawks, if the Hawks are crushing it, that stadium is packed. That stadium, what do they call it?
An arena.
Yeah, arena. Thank you. That arena is jumping. If they're losing, that thing's like the silent night.
Is that fair weather or is that a smart fan?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really waste my time. But
why would you go?
Yeah. But you got to put a product out there on the field. And the Falcons with mustache Arthur Smith seem to be switching it up, right?
What's up with that? And their DC's got the
look. Yeah. The DC even has one, right?
I was like, okay, I don't know if I can say this, but like some porn 1970s stuff going on the Falcons sideline. I was like, what is it?
Yeah, some old school 70s stashes over there. Hey, what works, man? Sometimes you got to pump up, and that's what they were doing. Speaking about pumping up, the Braves fought last night, guys, against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have nothing to lose. So we'll jump over to the Braves here. Braves 93-49. Man, there's so much we could talk. I mean, we could spend the rest of the time talking about the Braves, but we're going to try to get to these other topics that we have written down. But I mean, this team, what we've seen from Ronald Acuna this year is something that I don't know if we'll ever see again. If we do, it might be from Ronald Acuna in another season. But even then, it's one of those where everything has to fall perfectly in line for this to happen. And he looks incredible. Matt Olson, I mean, you could go down the lineup. Here's a great question. Robert Piper says, will we break the 1998 win record?
Which was?
How close are we going to get to that, guys? The 1998 Braves, I think it was like 106, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 106.
20 games left. So.
106 and 56. There's only 3 games left? No, there's more.
No, I said there's 20 games left.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 games left. You'd have to win 13. You'd have to win 14 of those, 14 and 6 to beat that record. It's doable.
I'm going to say no
because
I think they will clinch. And like I said, it's only 6. The magic number now is 6 games to win the East.
Yeah.
I think they'll start, sitting some players. But I will say, though, you look at it. Say if they sit Austin Riley. You saw yesterday, bring in who played for him?
I have no idea. Nicky Lopez?
Nicky Lopez. He comes in and he's good. I mean, so it's not you lose a lot.
He wasn't good until he came to Atlanta. Let's get that. Like he's one of those guys that came to Atlanta and now it's almost like a morale boost. You come to Atlanta and you get like +5 attributes for every one of your attributes that you have because you're in Atlanta. Nicky Lopez gained that when he got to Atlanta. Same thing happened for, you could name it, the guys, Orlando Arcia. There's plenty of them that once they came to Atlanta, they got that morale boost. 106, I think they could get there.
I think they can, but will they? Like, will they not because I think they're going to want to rest some guys is what I think is going to happen.
Okay, so then that kind of gets into a whole nother talking point.
Well, wait. Before you go there.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with that.
I would rather see, you can have the wins, you can have the home runs. I want to see 47. I think that's more doable with Ronald Acuna.
47 home runs?
40-70.
Oh, 40-70.
Yes. I would rather see that than the wins for the year. And he can do it. He's right on the cusp of that. And I'm telling you right now, if he does that, that's like probably one of those baseball things that's unbreakable.
He's got 35 homers.
Yeah, he's got 35 home runs, 64 stolen bases right now. 20 games left.
20 games left? Telling me he can't do that?
He can do it. Heck, he might get half of it tomorrow with a doubleheader.
I'm just saying I would rather see that than the wins or the homer breaking against the Twins. I'd rather see that.
How much of this do you think is obviously in Ronald's head? Do you think that he knows he's 16 stolen bases away from 80?
Yes, he does.
You think
yes, he does.
And he's standing out there and he's like on first base, like, yeah, I'm going for this this stolen base here. I might still
see the way he acts out there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
So you're 40-70 I don't think it's going to get held up by stolen bases. He's going to get those. Yeah. There's no question. He's going to go as high as he can in the stolen base department. The home runs is where you've got to have a little bit of luck on your side, and things like that. He's batting .336 though, which is incredible from the leadoff position.
That single he got today was just absolutely mashed, and he got a single out of it.
Yeah.
He's just murdering in the baseball. It's ridiculous.
The last 7 games, he has 3 home runs. So if you multiply that by 3, that's 9. So he would be, there's 20 more games. So essentially 3 per, he would be there. So
he's obviously the MVP, right? Mookie Betts. There was some Mookie Betts steam there for a little while, and you saw it all over social media where Ronald Acuna was not the dog father. Says 40 home runs or trade him. Dog father.
Just cut him. Yeah, just send him to AAA.
Yeah, send him over to the Stripers. See if he can do any work over there in Gwinnett. Hey, if you're not following the dog father on TikTok, you're missing out, guys. He's a big time guy over there. Robert Piper says, agree. Home runs are the question mark. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to get those stolen base. Hell, I think he might, if he can get on base enough and get to only first, he's going to try to get 80. I think he's just going to start swiping bags. He had one today. Big thing though is I wanted to get to Andy's point. He said they're going to start resting guys. Well, Matt Olson hasn't rested all year. I'm just afraid, and this happens to teams because we saw it last year. We've seen it plenty of times. The Phillies, they played in the wild card and they made it to the World Series because they had that momentum. You start resting guys, I'm afraid that you just get them out of a funk or into a funk rather, and out of a, kind of momentum thing there. This is what I'm afraid of.
We saw last year though, they pretty much were tired. When they went to the Mets, the Braves had to win that Mets series, and it's like they gave everything they had, and then after that they were done. And the Phillies come in, but they had a ton of momentum. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it either way. If that's one of the tough calls. I don't want them to lose. I don't want Acuna out of there because you want him in there every day and keeping it going. But if you can have him healthy, I don't know. Maybe it's more important for the pitchers to be rested than
yeah, like Robert Piper says, maybe a day here or there, but not multiple days. Got to keep them. Got to keep the bats hot. I agree. This Braves team, how far are they going, guys? Is it World Series or bust with this team?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll go first. It has to be. This is like, and I'm not a hockey guy, but the Boston Bruins had the most incredible season ever as a hockey team, and they got beat in the first round, and everybody's like, "Oh my God," whatever. You gotta finish this off, and the season really. It's just baseball is such a weird thing. It's just it drives you crazy in the playoffs, right? Because you get there and so many weird things happen. It's it's an inch here, it's a pitcher there. It's just weird little things that can happen. And you're right, like the Phillies got hot last year, and I'm with Andy. I think we just ran out of gas last year. It was the last day of the season when we finally got over the Mets, right? Yeah. The last day.
Well, that's what they were. That's almost like what they were chasing last year, Eddie. They wanted that, and once they got it, it was like, all right. It's not that we wanted to let off the gas. It's just we were tired. It was time.
Here's what we have to have. We have to have Ronald Acuna in a World Series. We've never seen that before.
Right.
And that's what I want so badly. That run 2 years ago, I'll never forget it. It was unbelievable. But Acuna wasn't part of it. He wants to make his statement with this team in the World Series. That's what I want so badly for this team.
The Dogfather brings up a good question. He says, is there anyone that can actually spell Matt at first base? Darno, maybe?
That's Austin Riley.
Nicky Lopez.
Austin Riley.
Yeah. Nicky Lopez can. Right. And then there was a couple weeks ago, it might have been a month ago now, Ozuna was trying to scoop some balls out of the dirt over there with Ron Washington at first base. So I actually paid good money to see Ozuna play a whole game at first base. Once we clinch, right? We clinch, see what he can do over there. So Dogfather says in a short series, the Phillies scare the life out of me with their starting pitching right now. Yeah, they do. But at the same time, the Braves are just on a whole different wavelength right now.
Zach and Nola are scary. Go ahead.
They are.
We have 4 games with them in the next 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we'll know. Like if we go up there and if we get 3 wins, I won't be worried about them at all because it's going to be like the Dodgers series. Went out there and
Right.
Dodgers could have swept.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question, Andy. If we go up there and let's say we get swept, are you really going to be like, oh my God, we can't beat this team in the playoffs? Seriously?
No, I won't be like that. But I'm saying
Okay.
if we go up there and if we hurt their feelings, then they're going to be out because they're
we're
going
in
to
their head.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get in the Braves' head, but I think it'll get in their head.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting stretch of the final season here. I'm trying to see MLB standings wild card, who is actually in those spots as of right now. Randy Payne says Green Bay Packers dog showed out today. Yeah, we already talked about him. Randy, you missed it. You got here late. You came into the service late. We let you in the back pew though. It's all right. We'll leave you there. We allow it, Randy. You're a friend of the show. You can show up whenever you want. Just make sure you tithe at the end of the show. Right now, Philly, Cubs, and Arizona are the 3 wild card teams. So there's a chance the Braves sweep the Phillies. Miami does something the Phillies could not make. I'm sure they will though. But
the Marlins beat the Phillies today. I mean, like I said, I don't know. The Phillies, they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. I don't know. They don't scare me. It's just.
What about Robert Piper makes a good point here, guys. Getting into a 7-game series. All right. If we had to start it today, do you feel confident? And it is kind of a stupid question because the Braves have won 93 games, but playoff baseball is a little different. Who are you running out there 1, 2, 3, and 4? And you're probably not going to run 5. Who are your 4 that you're running out there? Game 1, you taking Fried? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do Fried, Strider,
Morton.
Fried, Strider, Morton, and Elder. Yeah, that would be the order.
Ooh. I mean, if it goes good, you're sweeping them. If it goes bad, I think you got like 1 win out of those.
Well, who else are you going with?
You can't. That's the problem. There is nobody else.
Right.
So you have to rely on Elder, who I like. I like him. He's been on my fantasy baseball team since he heated up. And
the one that gives me pause is and I love the guy,
Charlie Morton.
Charlie Morton. He gives me pause. He's
Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie will take you to the promised land. Uncle Charlie will get you there. Okay. You just got to believe. You got to believe in Uncle Charlie. He'll get us there.
Elder's the guy that it scares me because I just
who scares you?
That good.
He said Elder.
Yeah. Elder. Yeah.
I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he's got that great of stuff.
Yeah, Chirinos. We'll throw in. We'll throw in.
Well, they said Kyle Wright could start tomorrow.
That's interesting. Interesting. So if he comes back, I'm curious to see who they take out of this Strider. Yeah, some people are saying Strider first. Strider is, he's a guy that's super lights out. But if he gets off of his game a little bit, people are tearing him up. So you just hope that he stays level-headed, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Strider, Fried, Morton, Elder. I wonder what happens if Wright comes back and he looks decent. Do they take one of these guys out? Do they go to 5-man in the playoff? Like, what do you're just not even going to use him, Eddie?
No, I mean, I think if he comes back, you stick him in the bullpen, and he's there for. If Strider, God forbid, goes out there and throws for 2 innings and looks
2
like
and 2/3.
ass, right? Yeah. You put him in there for long relief. That's what he's there for.
What if he looks really good? If he gets 3 starts in
3 quality starts.
I think he goes 6 or 7 innings and strikes out 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. Elder, I think Elder would become that long reliever. I think he would take the Jesse Chopper.
No, I'm sorry. Snicker's not going to do that. Snicker better than that. He's not going to do that.
95, 96, 97 plays better than 89, 90. So
I kind of agree with Andy there. We'll see, though. It's all a waiting game, and that's the fun thing about baseball is there's so many ins and outs throughout the season. Just like Andy said, Kyle Wright potentially coming back, or Eddie said, I don't know which one of you guys said it. Him coming back is just another wrinkle in this season for the Braves that could be potentially magical. Moving on, guys. The AP poll, little shakeup, little change of pace, if you will. And I like it. It changed up, and thankfully it did, because you had to. Alabama was too far up, and Texas made a huge jump. So, guys, if you missed it, Georgia's still at number 1, which I think we talked about that on the overreaction show yesterday. You have to leave them there until they lose. They're a 2-time defending champion. Yes, they might look bad, if you want to say bad, 45-3, but they need to stay at 1. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Florida State moves up from the 4 spot. Texas makes the big jump up to 4 from 11. And then you had USC move into the top 5 and Ohio State move out of the top 5. Yeah. That was interesting to me. Then you finish off the top 10 with Penn State, Washington, Notre Dame, and then you have 2 more SEC schools, Alabama at 10 and Tennessee at 11. With all that being said, guys, Texas last night, they are they a top? Okay, all right, because they're obviously a top 4 team now. Are they a top 4 team? There was times when I was watching that game, guys, and I was like, man, Texas defensive line is scary. Alabama's got some guys up there on their front. They've got some pretty good guys. They're young, but they've got 5-star kids up there, and they were pushing them around like crazy. Then you look at Quinn Ewers; he had a decent game. A.D. Mitchell, Jordan Whittington, they have some players on that, and they have the freshman Baxter at running back. Yeah. Are they a playoff team right now? Eddie, go first.
I was shocked at how they smacked Alabama in the mouth.
They beat them in the trenches, Eddie. Both sides of the ball.
That's exactly what they did. And Alabama, to me, they're making stupid mistakes, penalties. I don't know that Jalen Milroe's the guy. I mean, he makes a flash here and there, but
I think
overall, I'm not impressed with Jalen Milroe. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, real quick. I think you have to stay with him because that O-line is so shaky. You put that Tyler Buckner kid from Notre Dame back there, he's getting sacked 25 times last night.
Right.
Go ahead, Eddie.
But I was kind of like, after halftime, I was like, I wonder if Saban makes a change here. And he didn't. And you know what that tells me? They don't have the guys behind him to make that change like they did against us. I'm not going to talk about Georgia, but that's what they did. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, Texas deserves it. I mean, that's a big win. And it wasn't like last year, they almost squeaked it out. They beat the hell out of Alabama. And you don't see that. I mean, Nick Saban walked out of that stadium with his tail between his legs. That doesn't happen.
Mountain Man says they took him to the woodshed, period. Great game called by Sark. Yeah. It just kept getting better and better if you're an Alabama hater / fan of Texas or just fan of college football in general. Great game, week 2. You couldn't ask for much more. But like I said, Andy, Jalen Milroe was running for his life. They had penalty. This was what got me. They had procedural penalties. That is not a Nick Saban coach football team thing that happens. I don't care if it's week 2, week 1, week 14. They don't have that many penalties. Nick Saban looks like he's got one foot out the door, headed over to Pat McAfee's show on Thursdays.
Yeah, he's getting ready to leave, I believe.
Is he going to wear the same type of shirt that McAfee wears?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the tank top thing. No, it's last year when they lost to Tennessee, they had 14 penalties. I mean, that's the only reason Tennessee. Well, I shouldn't say that, but that's really helped Tennessee win that game.
Sure.
And I mean, how many times has Tennessee or Alabama had 14 penalties in a game? I don't know if they've ever done that under Nick Saban, but it doesn't. They blamed Pete Golding. They talked about how bad the defense was under Pete Golding, and I didn't see any upgrade. But you look at Caden Proctor; he was the number 8 player in the country. 6 foot, 6'8", 335 pounds. He got spanked last night. He did not do anything. And that's why Milroe's playing, because he has to run the ball around. I mean, there was no blocking, and even they blamed the offensive line coach. He went to Tech. He was there, and they talked about how bad he was. But it's not getting any better. I think he's got a foot out the door too. I didn't think he was planning on leaving, because I really think he wants that next championship. But once they said he signed on with Pat McAfee, and then the way they looked last night, I don't know. It's just it doesn't look the same. And Mountain Man is saying what we have been talking about, that Coach Prime might be the #1 contender. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've got Prime here, Mountain Man. We're gonna get to Prime.
good segue.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, to answer your question, I think Texas deserves to be at 4. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. They look really good. Now, if you're normally when you're going up against Alabama, you're like, man, you're kind of chalking this up as a loss for most fan bases. I think that game last night gave a lot of teams hope. And that's a scary thing against a Nick Saban coach team is having procedural penalties. Yeah, he's going to get those guys whipped up into shape for sure. But they've got to go to South Florida this next weekend, which is wild to me because it's some type of home and a home or home away thing that they did with South Florida. They've actually got to go play in Orlando, I think it is, against South Florida. Then they've got Ole Miss, Miss State, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU. There could be a couple more losses on that schedule, guys.
So one thing, I agree with that, but I want to go back. I saw he wrote Caleb Downs is the real deal, and I agree. But did one thing, and I shouldn't say it, but I mean, I can't help it. I have to think about Georgia. Did you see who did not get any rushing yesterday? Not one rushing attempt.
Who was that?
Justice Haynes.
Yeah, Justice Haynes.
Their halfbacks did not. I mean, maybe they kept them in, for blocking. Maybe Justice Haynes is still struggling with blitz pickup and things. But I mean, I'm looking right here at their rush, and they had McClellan had 45 yards on 12 attempts. Milroe had 15. He went 44 yards for 15 attempts. But
wasn't he the leading rusher?
He was, and that's I don't know.
That ain't good.
No, I'm surprised they did not play Justice Haynes because maybe so. I mean,
that's a good point there. Did we break Bama?
Georgia might have. Yeah, I mean it's
right there on that comment.
Yeah, Beyond Creative says we provided the blueprint to Bama. Very well could have. It was a very good game though. I think just a good college. Just to have college football back and those two teams. Don't get it twisted. Alabama's still a really talented football team.
Sure.
Like there's not a lot of teams that want to play Alabama right now, especially coming off a loss like that. I feel for South Florida next week because Nick Saban is going to let out 3 types of hell on these players.
Well, wait a minute. You say that, Paul, and we heard that after we beat them 33-18. Oh my God, college football's dead. Nick Saban's pissed. How'd that go? They didn't even make the playoffs.
Hey, look.
I mean, I'm so tired of hearing that narrative. I'm just tired of it.
Then maybe, Eddie, just maybe, they're done. Is that so? There's 2 ways. Either they're super pissed or they're done. I think, right? They're not going to fall off into a level of 8-4.
No, I don't think they're done, Paul. But I'm just saying that narrative to me is getting old because it seems like every time Alabama loses, oh my God, they're going to come back so angry and everybody beware. And they could still lose 1 or 2 games, right? Yeah. They're not done, but what the precedent that Nick Saban has set, that may be done, right? Where it's national championships every other year and undefeated and all that stuff. Maybe that's done.
I know it's the non-Georgia podcast, but you think about it. Ever since Kirby Smart left to come to Athens, their defense has not been that bully, that great defense. Yeah. They had Pruitt had a couple of years where it was good, but it fell off. I know Alabama fans don't want to believe it. I'm not burying Saban until he decides what. But it has not been the same. They have not been the same bully defense since Kirby left. So
Dogfather says, I'm not burying Saban until he decides to walk out the door at Tuscaloosa.
That's fair.
I'm with him, Fair. He deserves it.
Sure.
Speaking about walking out the door, though, guys, Deion Sanders, is he going to be walking into that door at Alabama? We were texting about this, I think last night when this game was wrapped up in the 4th quarter, and one of you guys brought up, is Deion Sanders the next Bama coach? I really couldn't answer it. It took me a minute to kind of say yes or no. What he's created, what's Deion's created is something that college football, I don't know, has seen in quite some time. 81, you've never seen it. 81 transfer players come in and do what he's done. Now, there's a ton of folks that are saying, hey, the NFL, the Commanders or whoever need to back the Brinks truck up and get Deion Sanders. That's going to be the narrative moving forward. It's going to be that there's going to be a head coaching spot that pops up at a bigger Power 5 process school, and they're going to say Deion should take that job. I don't know if I'm ready to, and I want both of your opinions on it. I don't know if I'm ready to hand Deion Sanders the keys to the brand new Lamborghini just yet. Like, can we get through a season first, or are we already there? I feel like a lot of people are already there. If he showed up at Alabama tomorrow, they'd win the rest of their games, is what they're saying. I'm not quite there yet. Eddie, what do you say?
Well, I'm going to say this right now. Deion Sanders has got perfect timing. This would have never worked in college football 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It would not have. I mean, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Deion. He's played the system beautifully. He's done what he's needed to do to get Travis Hunter there, Shedeur Sanders, et cetera. And those are great ball players. But this wouldn't have worked 3 years ago. So you cannot tell me, though, that Deion Sanders is going to be the Colorado coach in 5 years. There ain't no freaking way. This is a stepping stone, just like he said, when he started, I'm here for the HBCUs, and you saw how that went. He went right to Colorado, right? This is a stepping stone for him. And I'm with you, Paul. Let's wait and see what he's done week 1 and week 2. Tremendous. I'll give him credit because I said going into this week, I thought he was going to lose to Nebraska. I just thought they had all that hype. Everybody's giving them credit and saying, y'all are the butt of the ball, the amazing win. And they got it done. They did very well this week. Now, Nebraska's garbage. I mean, I'm sorry. They're just garbage. That's just not a very good football team. But like you said, let's let the season play out and see what happens.
Yeah, Dogfather says here, Andy says, with all due respect to Colorado, they've beaten a TCU team who lost everything from last year's team and a Nebraska team that's horrible. When they do that to USC, Oregon, and Utah, we can talk. I agree 100%. Their schedule, that Colorado schedule gets tough quick, boys. It gets tough fast. Now, not saying they can't do anything. I don't want that to be the thing, though. I think that they could still put up, some good games against these guys.
Sure.
Not going to say they're going to get beat by 25, but I want to see them against, Dan Lanning and Kyle Whittingham and Lincoln Riley. See what happens there is all I want to do.
I agree. And I also saw Mountain Man's comment. He said if it wasn't for Coach Prime and his career, you wouldn't hear none of his hype. Just my 2 cents. That may be true, but just think if they go 6-6, I was looking earlier, they got Shedeur Sanders. They got him going in the first round in this draft. So he would be gone after this year. If Saban were to leave, I mean, Alabama wants their name out there. Alabama. It's all about, not all about hype for Alabama, but Alabama loves having their name. How can you go from Nick Saban, the greatest coach ever? What do you do to get more momentum? You go to Deion Sanders. I don't know that he's a great coach either, but at the end of the day, he could play that NIL deal in Tuscaloosa.
Well, there's no denying that he could flip a roster.
Yeah,
sure.
We saw it. Like he can flip an entire college football roster without a doubt. But
he can piss off a roster too, and that's
Yeah.
So there's another side to that.
Apparently, Beyond Creative says Paul Feinbaum said his very same conversation this morning on his YouTube show with Matt Berry. Sorry if I can't post this. No, you're good, man. But look for this Deion Sanders to be #1 Alabama candidate. There's no way. I just don't. It's going to get hyped up, guys. And the more that he wins, if we're sitting at the season, they're 5-0. Dear God, you might as well. He might as well quit doing it.
If they're
wait a minute. Let me stop you. Let me stop y'all. If Texas has a really good year, isn't Steve Sarkisian the next Alabama coach?
Yeah, but here's the thing: are we? I guess are we at the point right now where we think?
Did you say no, Andy?
I think no.
Okay.
I think maybe. But are we at the point right now where this is the last season for Nick Saban? Like, is that where we're at?
No, I'm just being speculative.
Right. It could be though. It could be. I don't know.
If you're Sark and you're at Texas, you have all of that money. I mean, they bought AD, whatever. They come out and got AD. He got a lot of NIL money. They can buy anybody they want with that oil money. They have more money than Alabama has. Sark is in the best spot. He's got his quarterbacks lined up. I don't think Sark's going to leave until they push him out the door.
Yeah. Robert Piper is backing you up there, and he says Texas money will trump Bama money.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also thought, guys, last night I was watching that game. I said, man, what does this Bama team look like once Saban's gone? Like, are they just a regular SEC team? Because before Saban was there, they were kind of piddling around in land of mediocrity. J.R. Real says, didn't Saban just buy a retirement home in Miami? Sounds like he is halfway checked out. I don't know. I don't know if he did. I trust you that he did.
He is old. How old is he?
70.
He's 70-something. 72.
Let's see. Nick Saban. Let's take a guess. All right, everybody put a guess in. You said 72, Eddie? What you got, Andy?
Well, I said that based on what Andy said, so yeah.
No, it says he's 71. His birthday's
October 31st. Yeah.
His birthday's Halloween. Yeah. This is an interesting one, guys. Sacred Grove says Bama going after Shoe after the Saban era. Andy was all aboard on that last night, and I think Eddie and I talked him off the ledge there.
You did.
The only reason I don't see it, Sacred Grove, is that would be a hell of a jump from Nick Saban to a coordinator that's never been a head coach. And yes, it worked out for Oregon with Dan Lanning. Sure. Alabama's a little bit different beast, I think. If they were to hire Glenn Schumann, not knocking Schumann, I think he's an incredible coach, and he's going to be an incredible head coach. The Alabama faithful would try to have that man's head. They wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow it.
Would they allow?
There's no juice in that hire.
There's nothing.
There's juice in a Dion hire. You know, like we were just talking about.
If they don't get Dion, would they get Dan Lanning?
Dan's another one that could. I mean, it's all speculative right now. But I think we're at the point now where we're kind of closing in on the end of the Nick Saban era. We've talked about that numerous times before, right? When Saban loses a game and we're like, well, here it is. Saban's done. And sure enough, he shows back up. His hair's dyed that kind of brownish red color even more. And he looks younger than he was the week before. I just don't know if this is the year that he's going to hang it up. It might be.
And I got one more thing about Sark going to Bama. You remember in 2012, Nick Saban was out the door to Texas until it got leaked, and he ended up staying in Alabama. So Texas is one of those jobs, like especially in this NIL deal. You can argue that Texas could be the best job in America just because of all the money they have. I mean, it's wide open now. So I think Sark's there forever. But they would probably ask. I mean, they're probably, because he just took Saban to the woodshed, so they would have to ask.
Hamilton says Saban, Bud looked like he was ready for a glass of milk last night. That's so disrespectful, Hamilton. That's so disrespectful.
Oatmeal cream pie.
Yeah, a couple of oatmeal cream pies and a warm glass of milk from Miss Terry, and he was ready to call it a night. That might have been how he finished it off, guys. Before we get out of here, we've almost at an hour. Hopefully you guys like it, right? This is something different that we're trying to start up where we talk about everything except Georgia football. There's enough of that out there. There's tons of shows for that. And we have the greatest lineup of them all here on this YouTube channel. But there's also sports that you guys care about just as much as we do that don't get the hype. And there's not really a place for all of us that are on this YouTube channel to talk about that together. We've got a really close-knit community. And that's one of the big things that we like here. All you guys comment over there on YouTube, and we tell you, you're part of the family, and we truly mean it. So we wanted a place for you guys to be able to talk about other sports in that same community where you know everybody, we know your names, and that's what this show is all about. So we will get better, I promise you. I think it was a great first show, though, and we will continue to bring you all the stuff about the Hawks, the Braves. Eddie might throw some Atlanta United in there. I can't help him with that. When the
Coco Golf, come on, we didn't even touch on that.
Yeah, and we've got Coco Golf, which we found out today. She was born in Atlanta, lived her first 7 years in Georgia. So a Georgia Peach won the U.S. Open. Congrats to her. Amazing. Amazing.
Let me just say this real quick. Think about what you guys were doing when you were 19 years old. Okay?
I can promise
just think about that for a second.
Yeah,
right?
it's nowhere near playing tennis in New York at the U.S.
No,
Open.
I'm not even talking about that. So think about what you were doing. You were 19 years old, and go pull up an interview with Coco Gauff post U.S. Open winning. The girl is unbelievable. She's unbelievable. Just go watch her. She's amazing, and she's just got her wits together, and she's a class act. She represents the United States better than anyone.
Well, that's all that matters there. So it looks like the comments over here are positive, guys. We'll come back again next week. Mountain Man says, great show. Just have to get another hockey team to complain about. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Wasn't there was talk about a hockey team coming to, I think
it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that
they're building a building that is for hockey. And it's kind of weird that they'd be doing that if there's not going to be.
If it's done right, this town will go crazy over hockey.
I think they need to kind of, if they're going to do it, do like a battery type thing outside of it. And that seems to be the model here in the state of Georgia, guys. And we're trying to make our own model with this Non-Dawg show. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. If you could, before you leave out, hit that like button on the video. It helps us a ton, and it helps bring other fans in here. We'll see you next week, Sunday at 7:30. Went a little later tonight, Sunday at 7:30, and we'll be back. And guys, it was fun. It was a good little show. So appreciate it so much for you guys watching. For Eddie from Acworth, I said that really weird. Eddie from Acworth, Andy Stowe, I'm Paul Maharry. This is the Sunday show, Non-Dawg edition, episode 1. More to come. We'll see you next Sunday.